tonight with the streaming. If it cuts me off again, now I'm going to stop OBS and I'm just going to go live through Zoom. Okay? Then something's wrong with OBS because I went live last night on my phone and it went through. So that's what we'll do. Let me tell you with the streaming, if it cuts me off again, now I'm going to stop OBS and I'm just going to go live through Zoom. Okay?
I'll be quiet.
Something's wrong with OBS.
We had
I went live
oh my
last
goodness.
night
Hold on a minute. This is playing 9 times.
So that's what we'll do.
Where's that playing?
Let me tell you with the streaming, if it cuts. Okay. So Ethan graduated tonight, and there was also Avril Lavigne playing at Bethel Woods. If you're not familiar with Bethel Woods, it's the site of the original Woodstock, and that's where we live near. So Linda knows that. Let me shut this off. Linda knows that. Anyway, so we had a nice time. My son and G are at Avril Lavigne, and then Ethan's girlfriend and family went to Avril Lavigne, and I'm like, that's where his brother is. But anyway, then we went out to eat, and it was very nice. And tomorrow we have a party. So, and tomorrow we actually have 3 parties. We're going to go to some parties that our friends are having for graduation. Friends, you know, the whole family. He's having tons and tons and tons of food. They have a big place, and they're doing like I don't even know if they're doing like a pig and stuff. It's crazy. It's doing a lot of stuff. Then Ethan's girlfriend he's going to go to that party. Then we're all going to go as a family to this other party. Then everybody's going to come over this way to our party. And the cake came out fine. Okay. I went there today. First of all, it looked pretty good after it being in the fridge. That fridge is really cold. So then, and it was crumb coated, so the sides got nice and firm, right? So then I made some more of the chocolate frosting, put that on the top and sides, did all that. Then I did the vanilla. And then I piped that all around, put it back in the freezer because, you know, that's where we're having the party, right? So I don't want to have to travel with the cake because the last time I did that was crazy to travel with a cake of that size when I did it for Michael's girlfriend at the time. And we had to bring it from here, and it's like 100 pounds, and I'm not joking around about the weight of it, especially with the solid wood board. But, you know, so now the cake is right there where it should be. And I don't have the decorations and everything there. And I couldn't do the power wash, and it was cold and it was not nice. So I'm going to try to get up super early in the morning, do a little, because it's not that much that I have to do over there. And then, because I have until like 3 o'clock before we go to that other party. So that'll be fun. Now, yesterday, I started to go over Sean Combs about the closing arguments from the prosecution, and I also did the defense. Right? Right. So, now, I didn't do the defense. The defense happened today. So that's, why'd you tell me right? It's not. I didn't do it then. Not at all. Hi. Hey, Rochelle. How are you? My goodness. I haven't seen you in ages. How are you? How you doing? And I hope everything's good. I did the prosecution yesterday, and then we kept losing internet. So that's what I'm sitting here and waiting to see if it's going to be okay. Let me see if I'm getting any warnings. Let me look in my YouTube back studio here. Where's my back studio? Here it is. Just said excellent and just went to warning. We recommend that you use Crikey. But now it says good. I don't know. I'm going to keep my eye on this like nobody's business. So, what was I? So I did the prosecution. I didn't get to talk about the umbrella accident, freak accident on the beach in New Jersey. And I didn't get to tell you about the defense because that happened today. So now Monday, the Puffy Daddy case is going to the jury. So that'll be interesting, right? So we're going to look into both of those. I'm going to finish up on the closings on both of them. Now, I kind of went over the prosecutions, tried to in the telephone live I did. Telephone live. But it was just, it was really difficult with everything that was going on. But so I'm going to start from the MDMA. And I also want to remind you that I think we'll talk about trials, right? Would you want to talk about a trial? Why someone would want, say, a bench trial over a jury trial? Why would someone try to get someone to do that? Things that make you go, Do you think anybody would agree to that? That, all parties have to agree to that. I'm super excited. I am super excited to tell the truth in front of a jury. That's all I'm going to say. I'm super excited to do that. If I'm going to a trial, you can bet your buttons there's going to be a jury. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah, because anybody knows you don't count your chickens before they hatch. You should be humble and not boastful, because it could come back and you'd have egg all over your face. That's all that I'm going to say about that. We're only, 8 days out? Tomorrow's the 28th. Oh, 9 days out. 9 days out? What's tomorrow? The 28th? 28th, 29th. 30 days has, okay. That's three. Well, we can take the 6, would take 9 days out. I don't have to say anything. But I will say, just keep watching. Just keep watching. I know what the truth is. I know what the facts are. I have them. I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm ready to tell my truth. I'm ready to tell my story. I'm ready to tell the facts to the jury, because my truth and my story, that's exactly what happened. So, that's all. 12 people. but it appears that some don't want 12 people to listen. I wonder why that is. I can't imagine why that is. Hi, Jen Grill. Let's see if this works tonight. But that's it. So, let us move on to another trial, Diddy's trial. Diddy's trial. Hi, Justina. How are you? All right, let me get a Diddy. We're going to go back to Diddy, prosecution Diddy. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to do the defense closing argument. All right, all right. Christy Slavic. She is the one who did the closing arguments for the prosecution. And those were done Thursday, June 26th, yesterday, when I was trying to tell you about this, and then the Streamlabs kept going crazy, right? And we started talking a lot about what was going on and who was bringing stuff in. So we're going to kind of recap that now. Make it a little more concise as we go to the defense, because I did do some of this, okay? So the federal prosecutor, Christy Slavic, delivered these closing arguments. She explained to the jury how the testimony and evidence presented over the last month and a half adds up to the charges that include sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. For more than 4 hours, okay, so for a rather long closing arguments, right? Prosecutor Christy Slavic said that this web of evidence proved that Sean Combs ran a criminal enterprise that facilitated and concealed sex crimes for years. She called his staff these foot soldiers that did anything for him. He used violence, power, and fear to get what he wanted. She talked about the testimony from the two girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and Jane. They testified that Sean Combs pressured them to participate in these hotel nights, Wild King nights, freak-offs, whatever they were called for either woman. They were described as being fueled with heavy drug use. They lasted hours, sometimes days. Both women say Sean would direct, he would film, he would pleasure himself during these nights, hotel nights, freak-offs, and that he coerced them to continue to participate in them even after they told him they didn't want to do this. They didn't want to be with other male escorts while he watched. They didn't want to do this. They felt cheap. They felt used. They felt horrible, abused. No, he would include financial control, violence, threats of blackmail. They went and talked about the scene in the hotel, the infamous scene with the CCTV where he beat up Cassie. They showed that. They talked about it. She said these women, they had relationships with Sean Combs years apart. However, the similarities in these women's testimony depict that this was happening. This was troubling illegal behavior that was consistently happening. They're not separate stories. They are chapters of the very same book, she said. Now, combined, Cassie and Jane spent 10 days testifying. So the jurors saw videos related to that. They heard so much testimony related to that. She clarified to the jury that they don't need to believe that all of those nights were non-consensual to find Sean Combs guilty. In order to convict him of sex trafficking, she explained that jurors need to believe that each victim was pressured into participating in just one of these encounters as a result of force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion. It's time to hold him accountable, she said. It's time for justice. It's time to find him guilty. She said at every step he was in complete control of himself. He was angry but in control. And she said that when she was talking about that hotel footage. She also displayed text messages and testimony of Cassie Ventura when she let Sean know that she didn't want to participate in these nights anymore. She said that's why Sean repeatedly used explicit videos of Cassie as collateral. I'll release these, threatening to release them if she didn't do what he asked. All of this was designed to do one thing, to make Cassie afraid to say no. The second alleged victim of trafficking. She testified using the name Jane to protect her identity. She dated Combs from 2021 until his arrest in 2024. And this is where Slavic described Combs as using carrots and sticks, this approach in his relationship with Jane. She says that he love bombed her early on. He showered her with gifts, romantic trips, date nights. And this was like a way to groom Jane into participating in these king nights, these wild king nights. And just like Cassie, Jane said she went along with the encounters at first to please him. She loved him. But then, she said, as time went on, she felt she opened Pandora's box. Jane said that Sean repeatedly promised her quality time, emotional intimacy, but instead, he surprised her with hotel nights that eventually took up most of their time together. These encounters, Jane said, just dominated her life. So much so that Combs began paying her rent, $10,000 a month, as she struggled to maintain her home. Slavic focused on 3 specific incidents, one which she said constituted a separate instance of sex trafficking. And one of these included a sobriety party in which Jane attempted to get through the night without taking any drugs. And after having relations with 2 escorts, she threw up in the bathroom when Sean allegedly told her, well, you should feel better now and we can keep going with the 3rd escort. Throughout Jane's testimony, during closing arguments, prosecution showed multiple text messages and notes, entries, and even phone calls that were recorded without Jane's knowledge, in which she said she felt used, could not keep having relations with these escorts, strangers. The prosecutor argued that this was Sean Combs using coercive threats. He held Jane's rent payment over her head. He told her in one voice memo to get on her job because he was doing his, and he pressured her to continue participating even when he knew she didn't want to. I just want to make sure we're still on. Are we still on, Jane Grill? Hi, everybody. Hi, Christine. You've been here since Thursday? What, you're in the hospital? Oh no. Why? We'll make it less depressing for you, Christine. And please say prayers for Gail too, and Christine, because Gail's having surgeries too. Remember she went on that cruise? Yeah. So pray for Gail, pray for Christine. Hope you feel better, Christine. We'll try to make you feel better. Hi, Super Chat Cat. How are you? Okay, so I just want to make sure we're still on. This is a miracle. Okay, I don't know what was up last night. It was crazy. Let me see. Let me get back on this. She argued that Sean may have been one of 3 people in hotel rooms, along with a girlfriend and an escort, and his crimes were dependent on the close inner circle doing his bidding. Those are his foot soldiers, she said, And that also makes up the criminal enterprise and racketeering charges. His staff, including his former chief of staff, Christina Coram, his security guards like D-Rock, and he also relied on younger assistants to do things like buy drugs, set up hotel rooms, book travel for Ventura, Jane, and the male escorts. She showed through text messages and phone records that Coram, D-Rock, and other employees were well aware of Sean's abusive behavior and his alleged sex trafficking, and they took every measure they could to cover his tracks. She said, one of these instances, I told you last night multiple times that he beat up Cassie in the back of a Cadillac Escalade. She was hiding behind the seat or under the seat, and he stomped her head, and he just beat her up brutally that he had to put her somewhere where she could heal without somebody seeing her. And Slavic said, that is horrible, that she was basically held a hostage. She wanted to go home. She wanted to go to her mother, but she had to stay in this hotel room, and his staff made sure of this until she healed, right? She gave bank statements, phone records, other evidence, for examples, that each act she accused Sean and his staff of committing, this included kidnapping an assistant, that was Capricorn, Capricorn Clark, I'm sorry, and that was when they were going to Kid Cudi's, and that Molotov cocktail was thrown into his car. Remember that? Well, he went in there with a gun. He told her, "Come on, let's go." She reminded jurors that Sean often did not commit these crimes himself, but she showed evidence that suggested he repeatedly directed his employees to break the law in order to satisfy his desires, silence the people he victimized, and to protect his kingdom. Everyone was there to serve him. He doesn't take no for an answer. When she finished delivering the closing argument, she thanked the jury for listening to testimony and evidence she said could be difficult to sit through. She said that Sean Combs spent 20 years using his power, fame, and influence to evade any accountability for his actions. That stops now, she said. Okay, now let's go. Let me just make sure we're still on here. Okay, let's go to the defense. Let's see. Hi 61, how are you? Let me go defense now. It's going to go to the jury on Monday. Going to get to the jury on Monday. Ethan graduated tonight. I told you guys that, right? But those of you that just came in, he graduated tonight. It was a very, very nice graduation. It wasn't too long. It was really nice. It was really good. Okay. Where did I put let me see here. I want to get that. Okay, let me get you up to date on the defense. It would be so really nice if we could have a if we could watch this, right? Really watch this, but Mark Agnifilio did the closing here. I'll put up a new graphic. All right, here we go. want to get, okay, and then we've got the infamous, they're going to infamous hotel scene. Okay, so there's something here that, let me see, happened. Sean Combs blew kisses at his family when he entered court this morning. Okay. So here's Agnifilio. He started to take the floor. And he said, it's a tale of two trials. You know, he's taking his take on, he's doing a tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. The trial as told by the witnesses, text messages, and videos, and the trial as told by the mouths of the prosecutors, which Agnifilio described as the exaggerated trial and not the real trial. Agnifilio added that the evidence instead shows a swinger's lifestyle. And then he went on to praise Sean's achievements in his business and highlighted his character. The main issue that Cassie, one of Sean's former girlfriends, and Jane, who testified at trial, was the domestic violence in their relationship. We own the domestic violence, Agnifilio said. Despite the violence, he called Combs and Cassie's relationship a great modern love story, despite it, right? And said that this case isn't about crime, it's about money. That's a great modern love story, having relations with these escorts, drugs. Oh, yeah, they're great. Cassie sued Sean Combs for $30 million because Sean has $30 million, Agnifilio said. Cassie testified the suit was settled for $20 million. Agnifilio recalled Capricorn Clark's testimony about the lie detector testing, which prosecutors characterized as an alleged kidnapping and charged as an underlying act for the racketeering conspiracy charge. Clark, he said, wasn't kidnapped to take a lie detector test. It had nothing to do with it due to being busy working at the time. The arson thing, there's no evidence that Combs had anything to do with setting that fire to Kid Cudi's Porsche. He also said the investigation into the arson was a terrible investigation and underscored the investigator's testimony that a partial DNA profile from the scene was consistent with a female. Remember, Kid Cudi testified his Porsche was set on fire with a Molotov cocktail in January 2012 after Sean learned in late 2011 that Kid Cudi and Cassie were dating. Bad publicity. Sean paying the security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel following the 2016 incident involving Cassie was about preventing bad publicity and not a law enforcement investigation, Agnifilio said. It's not a bribe under California law because Sean Combs wasn't trying to hinder a police investigation. The police, he added, were nowhere near the situation at the hotel, and Cassie didn't want the police involved. Okay, so there was a problem. The Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey asked the judge to give curative instructions to the jury regarding 3 issues in Mark's closing argument. She said Agnifilio improperly asked the jury to consider why the prosecutors charged a particular racketeering predicate and stated the Intercontinental video shows a misdemeanor assault. She also said he improperly suggested that Sean was charged with crimes like arson and kidnapping when they're actually included as predicates of the racketeering count. Judge Submaranian said those issues were grossly improper, particularly the one questioning charging decisions. The judge said he would give a jury a curative instruction addressing that issue. When The jury came back in. Submarinian told them there was a suggestion in the defense's closings that they should consider prosecutors' charging decisions. It would be improper for you to consider such matters in your deliberations, and you should disregard those comments. The judge also told the jury that he would be the one instructing them on the law in this case. Then Agnifilo resumes. And he says that on the topic of Mia, that Sean Combs' employee who testified under the name Mia instead of her real name, and she said that there were instances of physical, emotional, and essay from Combs. He said she testified with the false persona in court. He said the bubbly person in that birthday video that the jury watched is Mia's true personality, and she falsely testified that Combs sexually assaulted her. This was not unwanted contact, Agnifilo said. Mia testified that Sean essayed her on multiple occasions. She testified that he R-ed her on another occasion, forced her to perform oral things on him. Agnifilo told the jury that Combs and Mia had consensual contact, and the jury could believe that because they saw a text from Sean to Mia when he threatened to tell Cassie about it. Cassie doesn't know about it, and Mia doesn't want Cassie to know about it, Agnifilo said. Agnifilo questioned why Sean would threaten to tell Cassie about something he wrongfully did to Mia. Agnifilo referenced positive social media posts that Mia posted about Sean, asserting that was how she really felt. He showed the jury the scrapbook that Mia created for Sean's 45th birthday and called it an act of love. He then showed the jury a photo, one that Mia posted, of a group of people involving several of Sean's employees, like his chief of staff, Christina Coram, and members of the security team. Think of a word or phrase that comes to mind. Joy, family, home, belonging, Agnifilo asked. Racketeering enterprise? This is your racketeering enterprise, folks. He said there is no evidence to support the government allegation that Sean and his enterprise conspired to distribute or possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance. Agnifilo said the jury has heard no allegation that Sean is selling drugs. There's no doubt he had personal use drugs. He obviously has a drug problem. Agnifilo said it's true that assistants picked up drugs for Sean, but the purpose of these businesses and enterprises have nothing to do with getting him drugs. These are things that he did with his girlfriend. They did them together. There's no indication that he's selling it to Cassie or to Jane or somehow move them or distribute the drugs. And the freak-offs, they were just part of the swingers lifestyle, not sex trafficking. He said, it's his girlfriend. I suppose you could sex traffic your girlfriend if you sell her into prostitution. But there was no suggestion that Sean Combs was making any money off of the freak-offs. He said that these freak-offs are sexual encounters between her and a male entertainer. Typically in a hotel room they occurred with Sean present. They're swingers. They are avowedly swingers. This is their lifestyle, he said. Agnifilo said the evidence was overwhelming that Cassie wanted to participate in the freak-offs. He gave jurors a hypothetical situation in which one partner liked a particular sex act and the second partner didn't, but knew that the act made the first partner happy. Do you still not want to do it? Where does that land on the I want to do it, I don't want to do it spectrum? Agnifilo reiterated, this is a lifestyle choice, and it was also Cassie's choice. She's ready to go. God bless her, she is. She's a beautiful, sexy woman, and that's what she deserves to be, if that's what she wants to be, and that's what she wants to be. The defense also knocked the prosecution's statement in its closing argument yesterday that not all of the freak-offs were non-consensual. How's he supposed to know? Agnifilo said. Agnifilo read a few sexually explicit messages that Cassie sent Sean referencing freak-offs. There was nothing that would say to him that this was against her will, Agnifilo said. Then he discusses and dissects parts of that hotel video from 2016. Let me just pop that up there. Okay. He went back to that video. Messages leading up to the incident show that Sean and Cassie were workshopping a freak-off together, Agnifilo says. And then he shows the jury parts of the surveillance footage, but not the parts where Sean is being violent with Cassie, acknowledging that those parts of the video were terrible. He used the footage to argue that Sean was coming after Ventura to get a cell phone. He also said Cassie later went back into the room with Sean and the security officer because the room was not a scary place. He pointed out messages between Cassie and Sean in the days following that Intercontinental Hotel CCTV footage. One of the messages mentioned the drugs that Sean took that day, which Agnifilo said were different. The drugs were off. The drugs were bad. Drugs are bad? That's a novel concept. Drugs are bad, kids. He suggested that could explain why Sean's behavior was the way it was in that surveillance video. Oh my gosh, guys. He got bad drugs. It's not his fault. He had bad drugs. I'm sure the defense lawyer knows that even if he had bad drugs, he's responsible for his behavior on those bad drugs, right? And all drugs are bad, right? Come on. Oh my gosh. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs, kids. Okay. He says, you're walking around in the middle of the day in a hotel in a towel and socks. So what gives? Must be bad drugs, kids. Okay. And then on the R allegations of 2018, he pushed back on that. He said that Sean Diddy Combs did not R Cassie, as Cassie alleged on the witness stand. He pointed out that Sean is not charged with R, so the jury doesn't have to consider that, but I can't let you think that was an R. Agnifilo suggested that she had to change her story to say it happened in August because after seeing Sean in September, she texted him, I had a lot of fun with you. Thanks for the night. I told myself I didn't want anything to happen, and I'm not tipping on it. I know you aren't either. Agnifilo said her now husband, who she was dating at the time, FaceTimed her in the middle of that night when she was with Sean. Her husband found out that she was with Sean, so she lies and says that she was R'd. Agnifilo said that Cassie changed her story to August because Sean sent her a text saying, I know I look bad to you. I could tell you I didn't turn you on yesterday. I fell off, but I'm about to get my shite together. She also testified that she later had consensual sex with Sean in October. If there was really an R, she would not have gone back and had consensual. So no R, Agnifilo said. Then he pointed to Cassie's answer when she was asked what kind of pain that Combs put her through. I think bigger, more than anything, it was her own personal shame in having to carry the things that were very shameful to him. In a sex trafficking case, the most painful thing for her was to unburden him of his shame and carry around his shame. That was the answer. She could have answered that question about one of a million ways. The reason it's beautiful is the only person who could answer a question that way is a person who truly, truly is in love with the other person, and all you need to know is that answer, he said. She was basically saying, listen, I am going to a very vulnerable, special place for you, and I'm doing this because I love you. Going on to describe how, in exchange, Jane wanted to be treated specially. There's a lot of things, but that's not sex trafficking, he added, when he was talking about Jane, that when she answered a similar question like Cassie answered. Okay. And then Before the jury returned, the prosecutor, Maureen Comey, addressed the judge regarding 3 issues in Agnifilio's remarks so far. And then she said that he characterized Mia, who testified that he essayed her, that she put on a false persona while on the stand, saying the bubbly person in the birthday video is her true personality. He also said that Mia's testimony about Sean essaying her was false. That was not unwanted contact. Added that it was consensual. And then there was a drug dispute. There's no evidence to support the government's allegation that Sean, with his enterprise, conspired to distribute or possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance. According to Agnifilio, he obviously has a drug problem, adding that while his assistants picked up drugs for him, the purpose of these business and enterprise, has nothing to do with him getting drugs. And then the lifestyle choice. Agnifilio said that Combs and Ventura's sex life was not sex trafficking, but rather they were swingers. And then the R dispute, he told the jury that even though Sean is not charged with R, that the jury doesn't even have to consider it. He can't let them think that Sean R'd Ventura in 2018, as she alleged on the stand, so he went on to challenge the timeline that Ventura presented when exactly it happened, arguing that she changed the date to hide the encounter from her now husband. The judge said, he says it makes the most sense to charge the jury, to give them the instructions before it deliberates on Monday morning instead of late this afternoon. Agnifilio said there is nothing to Cassie and Sean that he held her back as an artist. He reminded the jury that they heard from Sean's employee, Capricorn Clark, that Cassie Ventura got the lion's share of resources and attention from the record label from 2007 to 2010. Trying to make sure I'm still on here. Okay, we're still on, right? Yes, good. I'm just checking. After last night, I'm a little nervous. Okay. Capricorn Clark said that Cassie was a recording artist and had talent, but she wasn't a natural star. Now, Cassie dated Combs 2017 to 2018. She said her career suffered. She couldn't do many of the things she wanted to because of her many freak-offs with Combs. Here now. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio said that Sean may have threatened to release videos of freak-offs from time to time, but he never would have actually done it. Agnifilio acknowledges the videos show an uncommon kind of intimacy, but he said the videos of the freak-offs actually showed a beautiful evening. The music's nice, the mood seems friendly and easygoing, and everyone's smiling, they're laughing. Forget the S part. There's a real, genuine intimacy and just nice quality to these evenings. Oh my gosh. He added that the physical intimacy shown in the videos was not aggressive. He referred to testimony from 2 men who testified they participated in the freak-off, saying that they both thought Cassie was into that. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination this is the only man in America making homemade porn. Goodness. he said that Jane loved Sean, but she was focused on, what am I getting out of this, that the world can see. Agnifilio reiterated the argument he made about Sean's sexual relationship with Cassie, who dated Combs from 2007 to 2018. He said, the prosecution said they're not saying every single hotel night, freak off, King's night was sex trafficking. Well then, which ones were? And how's Sean Combs supposed to know the difference? He also said that Jane was used to moving in circles with celebrities like Sean Combs. He reminded the jury that they learned who her child's father is and what rapper she was with in Las Vegas in January of 2024. She's comfortable with being in that sort of strata. That's just how she moves. He took care of Jane and her child because the child's father dropped the ball. Agnifilio described Combs paying the rent for Jane's Los Angeles house as a gesture of niceness. It shouldn't be construed as a catalyst to sex trafficking. Agnifilio said Jane is receiving pretty crappy child support from the child's father. She testified at trial that she receives about $5,000 a month in child support. Guess who's given her more? The one who has no responsibility for that child at all, Agnifilio said. He's picking up the ball for some who seems to have dropped the ball for his own kid. And Sean is still paying Jane's house rent, even though Jane testified against him. They made a deal and he kept it. Good for him. This is guys. He read aloud part of the testimony from Jane, one of Sean's accusers, where she said, unfortunately, she agreed to a night at the hotel with Sean she referred to as a sobriety party. When Garagos, another lawyer for the defense, pushed her at the time on whether she regretted it, Jane said she resented Sean Combs for it. I believe resent and regret lie in the same feelings, she previously testified. Agnifilio said she's regretting that she made a choice, that maybe years later she would have made a different choice, or maybe she wouldn't. Maybe she just regrets it. But he argued that doesn't mean she didn't willingly participate at the time. She's agreeing to it. He sees her agreeing to it. She regrets it. She resents him for it. That's all coming later. Then he turned to a fight at the home of Jane, and one that Jane said on the stand that Sean punched, kicked, and dragged her during an incident that happened on June 18th, 2024. Agnifilio described the incident as really, really inexplicable. Let's see. He said that Sean and Jane have never been physically violent throughout their relationship, but that Jane slammed Combs' head into a counter that night. She doesn't even really give an explanation for doing this. He pointed to a photo that Jane took of Combs earlier that night, saying, half an hour later, you're just waging holy war on the guy, slamming someone's face? It just doesn't get much more aggressive than that. Agnifilio said that Jane was repeatedly calling Combs a pedophile, even though the other woman he was seeing was an adult. Is she looking to get a rise out of him? He said he mocked the prosecution for calling to the witness stand only two men who said they had relations with Cassie while Sean watched. The government did not call any men who allegedly had relations with Jane to testify. Christy Slavic yesterday showed the jury photos of 27 men prosecutors allege that Combs paid to have relations with Ventura and Jane between 2009 and 2024. Two men who were said to have had S with Ventura during the freak-offs both testified that they aren't sex workers and that they didn't travel across straight lines to meet Ventura and Combs. Both men say during their testimony they received money from Combs and Ventura after having S with her. Mark Agnifilio told the jury that no alleged co-conspirators were indicted with Sean, noting Sean alone was indicted. The government doesn't have any alleged co-conspirators who testified to prove the racketeering conspiracy charge against Combs. The government suggested Christina Coram, the former chief of staff for Sean Combs, was a co-conspirator, but Agnifilo said Coram was just a helpful employee who everyone loved. He questioned why Cassie would call Coram and D-Rock, the former head of Combs' security, after Sean assaulted Cassie at that California Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. If they were co-conspirators working only for Combs' benefit, a co-conspirator would kick the door in, right? I mean, if John Gotti was at your door, would you call Sammy the Bull Gravano, he said? This guy's a piece of work. Okay. He claimed the prosecution called a witness who testified about guns found in Sean's home as a ploy to make the jury scared of him. He said that Andre Lemon, the special agent for Homeland Security investigations, testified he did not know if the firearms in Sean's Los Angeles home were found inside a gun safe or not. They brought out a big, nasty, scary gun to show you. For what purpose? To make you think he's a bad person who has big, scary guns. And if they're going to do that, don't you think they have an obligation to put a witness on the stand to tell you where they were? At what point do you stop trusting the government? Okay. Let's see here. The prosecution will have the last word, making a rebuttal to the defense team's closing argument. Prosecutors previously said they anticipated that would last about 90 minutes. And then Maureen Comey began her rebuttal to the defense's closing argument. The defense just spent a whole lot of energy trying to blame Sean's victims and the U.S. government for his lies, his threats, and for his inexcusable behavior, tossing up excuse after excuse for his inexcusable behavior. Make no mistake, this trial was about how, in Sean Combs' world, no was never an option. She said that Sean is trying to wiggle out of federal transportation charges by saying he never tried to pay anyone for sex. He flew escorts across the country. He watched them perform while he pleasured himself, and then he handed them cash. She said the defense's suggestion that those things had nothing to do with each other doesn't even pass the laugh test. Common sense alone shows you that when the defendant flew those escorts out, it was not for scintillating conversation. It was for physical intimacy. His money is for physical intimacy. The performance, not for time, that's prostitution. The prosecutor allowed that some of the men might have been willing to do the acts, regardless of money. But when they got cash at the end of the night, they were getting paid for the sex. She said it's irrelevant what the escorts thought about the interaction. The law pertains to Sean's state of mind when he transported the men for prostitution. Combs knew what he was doing was illegal. He said in text messages to Cassie that she needed to make sure the escorts weren't undercover cops. Excuse me. The jury also saw Sean text an escort, asking if he was a cop. Then she responded to the defense's suggestion that Sean Diddy Combs couldn't have had an enterprise because its purpose was an illegal activity. An enterprise could have lawful and unlawful purposes, she said. Prosecutors aren't claiming that Sean's companies themselves were illegal, but that they used some of the money to further the enterprise. She also said former Combs chief of staff Christina Coram and D-Rock, the head of security, were friendly with Combs and his girlfriend Cassie Ventura because it helped them get her back to Combs and do what he wanted. They played both sides, she said. She said that testimony from Cassie and Kid Cudi corroborates Ex-employee Capricorn Clark's claim that she was kidnapped by Sean Combs and she was forced to go with him to break into the rapper's house. She showed the jury a transcript excerpt from Kid Cudi's testimony when he said that Capricorn Clark called him from outside his house to warn that Combs was there and say that she had been forced to go with him. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio told the jury that Capricorn Clark lied when she said Sean had a gun when he took her to the rapper's house. Agnifilio suggested that Sean didn't use guns and that he wanted a fist fight with Kid Cudi. It makes total sense that when he's going to kill a man, he's bringing a gun. And when he's beating on a woman half his size, he doesn't need a gun. But when he's going after a man who can match him physically, he's bringing a gun. Comey also said the defense offered up misleading theories about Kid Cudi's car being blown up. She said that Sean didn't personally throw the Molotov cocktail into the rapper's car, but he directed it. Cassie testified that Combs told her Kid Cudi's car would blow up while Combs was out of the country. He said he was going to blow the car up and lay low, and lo and behold, it blew up. Okay. She also addressed a non-disclosure agreement that Eddie Garcia, who worked as a security officer at the California Intercontinental Hotel, had signed. The non-disclosure agreement shows that Sean was worried about law enforcement since it mentioned Garcia had to tell Sean if he received a court order. She pointed out Garcia's testimony that Sean told him not to make any big purchases with the money. The only reason Sean would say that is if he was worried the police may try to track down the video. Of course, the police and an investigation were on Sean's mind when the payment was arranged. That's bribery. Prosecution, Comey also said and responded to the defense's attorney saying that the recordings of phone calls with Jane following Cassie's lawsuit show that Sean was worried about civil lawsuits. She pointed out on that recording, Combs says several times that he can't be on the phone. Plaintiffs' lawyers don't get to tap phones, she said. Who taps phones? The feds? Who taps phones? Law enforcement? What's he doing on those calls is tampering with a witness. What else did she say? Then she said she painted a picture of Sean delegating everything from mundane to illegal tasks to his associates. This is a guy who can't get himself his own water bottle or plug in his own phone charger. She argued that he certainly needed his inner circle to help him do things like obtain drugs or kidnap Capricorn Clark. He delegated, and his inner circle handled the dirty work for him. She also rejected the defense's suggestion that anyone in Sean's inner circle didn't know about his crimes, including his security guards. She pushed back on the defense's suggestion that Cassie and Jane enjoyed freak-offs and hotel nights, and that they were a sexual preference they shared with Combs. She described freak-offs and hotel nights as being in dark hotel rooms, awake for days, covered in oil, wearing 8-inch heels, often with UTIs, sitting in the same position, performing oral things for hours. She described it as having sex for hours, including with strangers, and having unprotected sex with strangers after stranger. A rotation of men for days. Comey said Ventura didn't have a financial incentive to lie on the stand. She already secured $30 million in settlements from Sean and the after the Intercontinental Hotel incident before testifying at trial. She already got paid and she had the media on her side. Why would she risk it all by perjuring herself at a federal trial? Jealousy is not a defense to sex trafficking, she said, and she continued a rebuttal against the defense's closing argument. Jane, one of Combs' accusers, testified that from 2021 to 2024, she was bothered by social media posts from other women that Sean dated because it made her see how abusive her situation was. Comey reminded the jury that Jane testified that she arranged for entertainers to participate in hotel nights because she could at least control what men she had relations with. By 2023, Combs was paying her rent. Jane was performing hotel nights out of obligation. That's coercion, when she's afraid she'll lose her home if she didn't. Jane testified about going with Combs to what she called hotel nights, and she described sexual encounters with a male entertainer, often in the hotel room. The prosecutor said that to convict on the sex trafficking charge, the jury only has to find one freak-off or hotel night with sex trafficking. Doesn't have to find every single one. Sean faces 2 counts of sex trafficking. Sex trafficking, she says, involves someone to say yes through illegal means like force, fraud, or coercion. She said that any financial benefits that Cassie Ventura gained and Jane, another accuser, just gave Sean more control over their lives. She said that Cassie and Jane both tried to leave Sean multiple times, but would get sucked back in because of sharing a trauma bond with him. She talked about the defense's suggestion that they engaged in these encounters orchestrated in order to reap the benefits that came with his lifestyle. Those supposed benefits, the homes, the money, kept them trapped. The defendant did that on purpose. The cost of doing that was just a drop in the bucket, she said. He was more than willing to spend that to trap Cassie and Jane. She brought up 2 instances of violence: the March 2016 assault on Cassie Ventura at the Intercontinental Hotel and the 2024 June altercation between Sean and Jane at Jane's Los Angeles home. Both incidents were so far over the line, they have tried desperately to spin them. When violence is paired with unwanted commercial sex, it turns into trafficking. Sean threw Ventura to the ground to stop her from leaving, kicked her to remind her that he has the power. He took Cassie's phone because he knows she won't leave if he has her phone. He made a calculated decision to stay in the hallway with Cassie once she called security so he can control the situation and prevent security from seeing an escort in the hotel room. Hold on, I just want to make sure we're still on. We still on? El Cassie, look who's back. Yay, El Cassie's back. Look at that. El's back. El, how are you doing? Good to see you back. Hi, everybody. Hi. We're just finishing up this Diddy trial. Did you follow it? They're going to go to the jury on Monday. Love and miss you. Okay, let me go over here. Let's finish this up. And then we'll take a poll what you think is going to happen once we go through it. I'm back. She's back. Okay, let's see here. All right, where did I go? I'm going to take a poll whether you think what the jury's going to say on this. Okay, here we go. So she detailed the way that Sean physically assaulted Jane that night, saying he literally had beaten her into submission. Jane may have started that fight. Well, she slammed his head on the counter, which is, okay, it's a pretty big thing. The thing that slamming his head on the counter, usually with somebody that's very abusive, you wouldn't do that because he's going to beat the crap out of you if you slam his head on the counter. But then again, we saw between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they were both, engaging in stuff. So yeah. But she said Jane may have started the fight, but he finished it with a vengeance. He then made her pay by making her have sexual interactions with an escort. Sean won that fight, and then he made her pay by performing with Anton. She has no reason to lie about that. She says, the prosecutor Comey, Sean Diddy Combs never thought the women he's accused of abusing would have the courage to speak, or that the men who testified at trial would back them up, but he was wrong. For 20 years, the defendant got away with his crimes. That ends in this courtroom. The defendant is not a god. He is a person, and in this courtroom, he stands equal before the law. Overwhelming evidence proves his guilt. It is time to hold him accountable. Find him guilty. She finished the rebuttal. The judge dismissed the jury for the weekend, and the parties finished for the day. The judge told the jury that he'll issue the instructions on Monday morning, and then that he'll do that at 9 a.m., and then they can begin deliberating. So I'm going to take a poll now, and we'll just see what it boils down to. Let's see. Yeah, he's such a gentleman. Yes, Ethan graduated. Okay, let's see. Let me go here. Make a poll. Make a poll. Okay. Let's see. Will Sean Combs be found guilty by the jury? There we go. There we go. Okay. Now you can do that, and I'm going to tell you about a freak accident on a New Jersey shore. And listen, every year I hear about these freak accidents. They freak me out, no pun intended. And I think back to Edisto. I think to the first 2 years I brought beach umbrellas there. Now, I won't do them anymore. This just scares me too freaking much. But listen to what happened here. Let me get I heard this on the news. I was like, what? Okay. You know, it's actually cold here. It's cold that I wanted to put the heat on. Scary, right? Asbury Park. So here she is. Let's get her on the screen. She is actually holding a piece of the umbrella. So on Wednesday morning of this Wednesday, just this past Wednesday, the wind blew an umbrella off the lifeguard stand. And she went to grab the umbrella to keep it from falling, and it struck her. She was found on the ground near the lifeguard stand with, this makes me so, I actually get like sick when because I told you I'm not good in things sticking in people and stuff. That's why stabbing someone, if I had to defend myself, stabbing someone would be the last thing I would do. Okay, there are many other things. I don't want to be like that intimate with anything like that, pushing, pulling. No, not me. There's many other things I would do before that. Okay, if I had to defend myself. She was found on the ground, and she was found with the umbrella stake that had pierced the front of her left shoulder and was sticking out the back of her arm by about a foot. This is going to be hard for me. She was being treated by fellow lifeguards. And the fire department officials arrived. They took over and they stabilized her. The fire department responders also cut the umbrella stake in the front and in the back to make sure the wound would be more manageable. Oh. Okay. Paramedics then responded and took the lifeguard to the hospital, adding that she was conscious and alert the whole time. Oh my gosh, poor thing. She's a tough young woman, the chief said. Police say she was in stable condition and said his advice to beach goers is to always make sure umbrellas are placed securely in the sand and that they are carried with the point down. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. And then there's another impaled person at the same time. Okay. So it was something like this, guys. So she was, let me see here. No, I can't. Okay. The lifeguard, she was in Asbury Park when that happened. Okay, so we heard about her. Thank God she's okay. But at Barnegat Light over the weekend, an adult male swimmer was taken to the hospital when for a leg injury that he got while in the water. The personnel transported him to the area of 19th Street where they met with a responding Long Beach Township police officer and members of the Barnegat Light First Aid. The male was subsequently transported to Southern Ocean Medical Center for evaluation and treatment of his injuries. They described his injury as a puncture hole wound in his calf. It appeared that his calf was stabbed by a needlefish or a houndfish, two related species that are common to New Jersey waters during the summer. Both needlefish and houndfish can be found in shallow marine habitats. They have slender, elongated bodies. They have a narrow beak and rows of sharp teeth. The species are known for quick bursts of speed and leaping out of the water. The largest species in the needlefish family can grow to about 4 feet. They are found in oceans all over the world, and they're commonly near the coastline, where surfers and swimmers would be. Yeah. Injuries by these fish are rare, but they're not unheard of. These fish can be triggered to leap out of the water towards the lights at night. They may also jump when they sense predators or when there's a disturbance. Now in Brazil, a 20-year-old surfer sought medical attention near Sao Paulo when they were found to have part of a needlefish jaw embedded behind his ear. Oh boy. In October, a surfer was killed after being impaled by either a needlefish or a swordfish, another species that can leap out of the water and cause puncture wounds. That was off of Indonesia's West Sumatra coast. In 2010, in the Florida Keys, a kayaker's lung was punctured by a houndfish that jumped out of the water. She survived. In 1999, a fisherman in Malaysia was killed after being speared by a houndfish. Should we look up what these houndfish and needlefish look like? Let's see what a needlefish looks like. Hex. Hold on. Well, the needlefish look kind of small. I mean, but I guess they can be big. Let me see. Let's see. Needlefish, needlefish. Those are the needlefish. Let's look at the houndfish. Houndfish, houndfish. Okay, houndfish. Now, I don't know why we're calling it a houndfish because it kind of looks like a needlefish. I was thinking a houndfish would look much scarier. Did anybody else think they might? I did think a houndfish would look, I don't know, a whole lot scarier. But I guess they can get quite large because I see some fishermen, but they look just like a needlefish to me. I mean, pretty much. Okay, so umbrellas, needlefish, houndfish. We're going to take a look and check out, let's see. Okay, look at this poll. 77 think he's going to be found guilty. I'm going to say guilty too. Does anyone know if it's Elvis's birthday? No, isn't Elvis's birthday? And oh wait, August is the day he died. Oh my gosh, you didn't say Elvis. This reminds me of this thing. Oh my gosh, we did a presentation and my partner and I were laughing like crazy people because apparently, and I wish I could remember what it was, but the person typed children or chicken and I read it the opposite way and then just kept going through the presentation and she was dying laughing. Oh my gosh, and she told me after, she's like, Carolyn, it wasn't chicken. What?
Are you live?
Yeah, why?
Anyway.
No, what's it? Wait, hold on, I'll mute. What is it? You have to write. You just write a thank you for the scholarship. I have. I'll give you the information. I have the thank you notes at the other house.
Just one note I want to give them.
Yeah, you write a thank you, and then to the other scholarships, Ethan got a really nice scholarship from fly fishing organization because of what field he's going into, and he didn't know it. They had he got two at this presentation, but then this one came through, and I guess I don't know, it must have arrived late at the school or something. Really nice. Okay, so let's see. So you said Evie's birthday. It is not Evie's birthday. Evie's birthday is in March. Well, but I thought you said Elvis's birthday. Evie's birthday is in March. How come you think it's Evie's birthday? It was Evie's son's birthday a few days ago. All right, let me see here. Okay, let's take a look at what field. It's kind of two things, but the one is with the DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation. Fisheries, wildlife, hatchery, and all in that. It's a law enforcement field, but it's for the Department of Environmental Conservation. That's one. And the other one is landscape architecture. And that's also, like in this, he's probably going to be doing both simultaneously and then decide what he likes to do the best. Yeah, it's a good field. Let me see here. What was I going to do over here? Oh, I will tell him. He went upstairs, but I will tell him when I see him. All right, let me go and see what we have over here. Let's just see what we got going on. Elvis's birthday. Uh-oh, who's this woman? Looks so familiar to me. You know, lately, Scooter said that too. Everyone starts to look familiar to me, but there's this one woman, I don't know if I see her on Facebook or something. I don't know if like people are just posting this one, because I feel like I see this same woman for different stories, and I'm like, I know her. Okay, so this woman, they say that Jennifer Keese, they said it's no longer a cold case. She vanished 20 years ago, but they have new evidence. She never showed up for work on January 24th of 2006, and 2 days later, her black Chevy Malibu was found in the Huntington on the Green complex in a high crime area of Orlando. Do you know what? Wait a second. Hold on a moment. Wait a second. Didn't we have someone that came on our show that had a friend that lived in Orlando? She was murdered. It was the maintenance worker that did it. She knew the girl. Her mother, she talked about her mother giving a victim's impact statement. Does that ring a bell to anyone that's been here a long time? Let me know if that rings a bell to you, because I think we were talking about this case and that came out, because this case sounds almost identical to what she said. It says that construction workers were at the property frequently. They were also allowed to live in vacant units. But they're not really saying what exactly. I think so, yes. Okay. Gin Grill. Hi, Frilly Farmhouse. Hi, Sassy Darcy. Hi, it's just me. Hi, Debbie D. I remember something about it. Yeah, so they're saying that something new came up, but I'm not sure what the heck. She's a very, very pretty woman, and it's sad, but let me see. The mother said, I'm driven to find my daughter. There's nothing else in my life. I have to be honest with you, more important than finding Jennifer. Or no, her father. I think that's her father that said, let me see here. Her father. It says Florida Department of Law Enforcement has developed a short list of persons of interest and discovered evidence that has yet to be tested. And apparently there was a 48 hours episode about it, so we'll have to see and keep following that. Here's her picture. I'll put her picture up. See if it jogs any memories here. Okay. Let's see. There we go. And Corey Richens. You remember Corey Richens, who drugged her husband with that Moscow Mule? She's now been charged with 26 new felonies Friday for financial fraud. And then she wrote that book on grief. Yep. Now let's see. There's some Brian Kohberger stuff. Let's see what's Brian Kohberger's going on with Brian Kohberger. I know that they're having those new documentaries, which we're probably going to do for a movie night. I've got to see when that new documentary dropped. But there's also supposed to be something on Good Morning America where these I don't know these two people that just decided to speak up, that they were the two people that came on to the house first the next morning, I guess. Okay, let me see here. Let's see what's going on with Brian Kohberger. Here we go. All right. So the judge says the jury will not hear a defense theory that someone else is the real killer. There were final rulings ahead of the murder trial that's due to start in August. Judge Stephen Hippler said the lawyers for Kohberger won't be permitted to present to the jury their theory that some unknown person is the real killer. The trial is going to begin August 18th, a week later than originally planned. Jury selection is going to start on August 4th. A series of final rulings have cleared the path for the trial of Brian Kohberger, as Judge Stephen Hippler said lawyers for the man who could be executed if convicted won't be permitted to present to the jury the theory that some unknown person is the real killer. However, the defense will be allowed to press the investigators on whether they followed up on all plausible leads sufficiently, beyond simply pursuing Kohberger. Nothing links these individuals to the homicide or otherwise gives rise to a reasonable inference that they committed the crime. Indeed, it would take nothing short of rank speculation by the jury to make such a finding, the judge said. Kohberger's lawyers had offered the judge under seal what they said were 4 other people who might have murdered Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin on November 13, 2022. Kohberger's attorneys insist he's innocent and acknowledge that they didn't have enough to pursue that strategy at the trial's outset, and they wanted the judge to give them latitude in building that theory when they cross-examined the prosecution's witnesses. The judge rejected the proof they offered as paper-thin at best and entirely irrelevant. At best, Kohberger's offer of proof can give rise to only wild speculation that it is possibly any one of these 4 individuals could have committed the crimes, said the judge, adding defense can't merely offer up unsupported speculation that another person may have committed the crime, which is all Kohberger has done here. In his ruling, Hippler said, allowing the defense to indulge that theory would risk leading the jury astray and waste their precious time. Kohberger's defense previously suggested there could be someone else behind these killings, pointing to the other unidentified male DNA samples found in the crime scene area. But the judge noted each of the 4 people proffered as alternates, had cooperated with authorities, providing their DNA and fingerprints, and that forensics had already excluded their DNA from the samples taken from the crime scene and the victims. The 4th individual offered as an alternate had a passing connection to one of the victims, the judge said. He noticed her shopping at a store approximately 5 weeks prior to the homicides. He followed her briefly out the exit of the store while considering approaching her to talk. He turned away before ever speaking to her. Hippler added that the event was captured on surveillance camera and that this man has cooperated with authorities. His DNA has already been excluded from those taken from the crime scene. In another new filing just posted to the docket, Judge Hippler also denied the defense's attempt to further delay the trial. Kohberger has not made a showing that there is good cause to continue the trial. Kohberger's lawyers had pushed for another delay, citing a massive trove of records turned over by the prosecution in such a high-stakes case, the inflammatory media coverage potentially biasing the jury, and because they needed more time to prepare their case for sentencing, should he be convicted. The judge itemized the extensive investigation that Kohberger's lawyers had already done to prepare for a possible sentencing phase that show an expansive understanding of who the man is and the world he's been living in. The list includes his educational, medical, and mental health records, his father's military records, multiple interviews with Kohberger himself, as well as his family members, 2 of his 4th grade teachers, oh my goodness, his former boxing coach and a psychologist who evaluated him in 2005, interviews with his former master's degree professors and advisors, and letters and jail calls between Brian Kohberger and his family. There is also a lengthy redacted section discussing speculation Kohberger's lawyers want to chase down, which the judge calls unsupported suspicions that smacks of tactile gamemanship and delay. If they were truly struggling to be ready for an August trial, they should have said so sooner because all the deadlines had passed, the judge said. Kohberger's lawyers have robustly litigated this case so far and amassed dozens of experts and other team members and filled numerous briefs. The judge also said he doubted the national media attention on the case would decrease with a delay. 4 college students in his small Idaho town were brutally stabbed to death by an unknown perpetrator, the judge said. It was an immediate media sensation, and it garnered widespread attention that not only continues to persist, but continues to grow. So that is that. No unknown person there. Okay. That we talked about. Let's see. This was the DoorDash person that was saying that she saw them. We talked about that the other night. Okay. L says there is a copious amount of evidence against Brian Kohberger. The judge is after justice. No cartoons. There was also a dump of Steve. Oh, really? Was it? Let me see. Let me go and see where that is. Steve Gonzalez text. Okay, let me see. Oh, loving it. Steve Gonzalez. Let me see. Okay. So you said there were his texts that were released in here? Let me see. I'm not seeing him in that place, and that usually has them. Let me see. Let me go over here. My stomach is growling. I don't know why. Okay. Breaks open. Let's see. Let me look at the... Okay, so Early Kaylee, I'm on their family page, and it's all, I mean, they post all about stuff. I don't see them there. Hold on a minute. I'm not seeing it, Al. But let me see here. He talks about Dylan. That was a while ago, wasn't it? I think that was in March, though. Yeah, I saw about the DoorDash driver. Saw the DoorDash driver. Okay, now let me check something else here. Okay, so we got to Brian Kohberger. They still haven't found Travis Decker, who murdered his kids. 5th grade girls plot to murder a classmate. Are you kidding? 5th grade girls. 5th grade girls. We're joking now. Wow. In Arizona, it looks like. Let's see here. At the Legacy Traditional School. Oh my goodness, let's see. This is disturbing, right? Okay, here's this. Come on. Legacy Traditional School. Okay. In Phoenix, Arizona. Right there. Okay, it's a public charter school. They're committed to help each of their students win in and out of the classroom. Well, I don't think murder was on the agenda, but let's see what the heck is going on over here. Okay, so what do we have on this now? Get rid of that. All right, let's see. 4 5th grade girls devised a sinister plot. They were going to kill an Arizona boy and fake his suicide. Wow. So these 4 5th grade girls in Arizona devised a fiendish plot to kill a classmate and make it look like he took his own life. With one of the students caught smiling and laughing as she made excuses to investigators. The newly released report from the Surprise Police Department revealed the disturbing facts behind the arrest of the group of girls. The girls were all aged 10 and 11. They were set to stab a boy to death during recess. And that was back in October. Oh, Ethan, Elle said congratulations on your graduation.
Thank you. So,
He said thank you, Elle. The suspects had agreed to just end him in the schoolyard, and this was over cheating allegations following a breakup. 5th grade. You hear that, Ethan?
You saw what?
4 fifth-grade girls arranged to stab to death a fifth-grade boy over cheating allegations and stage it to look like a suicide. They were 10 and 11 years old, 4 of them, in an Arizona
wild.
school.
That's crazy.
In an Arizona school, 10 and 11-year-old girls.
Kind of smart somehow to do that.
Kind of smart. Well, they think they're
Well,
smart.
He's smart. No, he's pretty. But that's why. That's bad what he did though. But
No, he didn't do it. You're not listening to me.
What is this again?
4 girls
Mhm.
made a plan. We're all going to kill, let's say, Robbie, because he cheated on one of those girls.
Oh.
And so they all agreed they were going to stab him to death in the playground and make it look like he took his own life.
Wow. That's
sick.
Some.
And the girls are 10 and 11, 4 of them. Yeah.
And did they do it?
I'm trying. No, I think they one was tasked to bring the knife. The other one would write the suicide note, and another girl was going to be the lookout, and the fourth one is going to carry out the murder. And that would be. She was also instructed to wear gloves to avoid leaving any fingerprints on the knife. 10 and 11-year-olds.
That's crazy.
I know. The girls set the date to enact the plan on October 1st of 2024, but some students overheard the details and they informed the school before it happened. All 4 students were then arrested by the surprise police. Right? That would be, so you're arrested. Surprise! You're arrested by the surprise police. And they were charged with threatening and misdemeanor disorderly conduct. 3 of the girls showed remorse when confronted by the police, but officials noted that the 4th girl would start smiling and laughing when coming up with excuses over the murder plot. Surprise police said the girls were released to their parents following their arrest and suspended from school with expulsion pending. Pending? Expulsion pending? The twisted plot is reminiscent of the 2014 Slender Man stabbing, in which a Wisconsin 12-year-old girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire lured their friend Peyton Leutner to a park after a sleepover. In the savage attack, they aimed to please the creepy horror character Slender Man, and they stabbed Leutner 19 times while the other girl cheered on. And wasn't there another one that lured their girlfriend out there and they really killed her? Yeah, I think so. This is crazy. Someone said they should be charged as adults. If they're adult enough to come up with this type of a plan, they're adult enough to suffer the consequences. And someone goes, they're not adults. Children this age do not process the results of their actions like adults because they're not adults. They're children. The job of the parents is to teach the children the difference between right and wrong, and obviously their parents have totally failed at this. Why on earth would you release these children to parents who are obviously total failures at their job? She says, nonsense, someone said. I knew right from wrong at an earlier age, and I'd bet that you did too. There are more and more kids doing crazy things, and a large part of this is because they know they will not face consequences from their parents, the law, or both. We agree about the parents, though. Someone said, you are correct to a point. The pre-adolescent brain is not developed to the level enabling it to make clear distinctions of right or wrong. Parental and societal guidance is essential, but peer pressure has jumped exponentially with the advent of social media. We live in a new age and need the social courage to create a new category of criminalization in such circumstances where the results have often been the taking of a life. Blame the parents, another broken record. Give me a break. Blame the person for their bad behavior, no one else. Someone said, I can't recall ever sitting my boys down and teaching them that killing people that anger you is wrong. Are you seriously saying this must be taught? It's common sense. These girls are psychopaths and belong in a hospital. Then someone said, it probably wouldn't hurt to go over good and bad behavior. Hey, you're a parent after all. There are many levels of inappropriate, far from only murder. Someone said, pretty sure Tina wasn't suggesting taking the no parenting approach. The point is that teaching right from wrong to children shouldn't have to include things like, remember now, no murder today. Did your parents seriously have to tell you not to murder your classmates? Did they specifically teach you not to try to cut your leg or take a nap in the fire too? Good parenting leads to problem-solving skills and common sense, except in cases of dangerous mental conditions which require serious treatment, especially when acted upon. And someone said, our parents, I think she means reading, the 10 Commandments, they're defective. Turn them off and return them to the factory to be disassembled, not the parents' fault. Someone said, I'll take charging them as minors. They got nothing, not even a reprimand. Suspension, so the school punished them to their limit? Someone said, I know people like you. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. You always suggest the harshest punishment imaginable to be meted out. These are 10 and 11-year-old girls. What would you charge them with? They should not have even been arrested, much less tried as adults. Geez. Someone said, you don't know anything about me. It wasn't long ago. I'd have probably agreed with you in most situations involving kids being kids. Conspiracy to commit murder would have never been one of those things, but as I see more and more kids doing crazier things simply because they get away with it. There needs to be changes. Someone said, conspiracy to commit murder, OMG. What I'm suggesting is some common sense. If a 15-year-old kid writes in his journal that he's thinking about shooting up the school, we have to take him seriously in light of current events. If a group of goofy 11-year-old girls discuss an elaborate plan to stab a boy because he broke up with one of them, that can still be treated as nonsense. Someone said, not really. I worked in a child psych unit for years. The girls were the scariest. Even at 10 and 11, it's the odd combo of their temperament and how they're raised. For sure there are some dramatic girls or mean girls, but once in a while there are some dangerous ones, especially when kids get in a group. They'll do something they'd never do alone. Both should always be taken seriously. Normal kids, 10 and 11-year-olds, do not think like that. Hopefully none of them do or become a school pew-pew. Stay sleepy. Would you think you were just a goofy 11-year-old girl if it was your child they were plotting to kill? So let's wait till they finally murder someone? Then we'll slap their hands because they're just kids? No wonder kids are conning the system today. They can be as lethal as anybody, adult or minor. These girls are on their way to crime. By the time they're in their teens, maybe psychotherapy might help now, but no guarantees. Better keep an eye on them. How about conspiracy to commit murder? This is one of the reasons why NYC is a cesspool. Kids get away with anything and everything. And they said, yo, they're in grade 5. Get real, you sicko. Someone said, old enough to conspire to murder someone. Allegations of cheating. The girls were 10 and 11. I don't think releasing them to the parents is the answer. I think that's the root of the problem. Scary stuff. Someone said, you're assuming that both parents are in their lives. I'm betting that one is incarcerated. Wow. I see where you're going with this one, but given the racial demographics of Surprise, Arizona, your assumption is likely wrong. Let's see. Unlikely in Surprise. It's a very nice area. Let's see. When I was 11, cheating meant copying your friend's homework assignment. That's what I thought when they said that. I know. What is going on in Surprise, Arizona? They were going to kill a young boy for cheating. Did he cut in line, waiting for the swings, the slide, the seesaw? WTH. Sentence them as adults, 60 years in prison. minimum. Imagine them in another 5 years. Wow. How depressing that we have over 40 to look at this sad what? I don't even know what that says. That's crazy. What do you guys think about that? Okay, let me see here. Let me come back to the chat. All right, let's see. What do you think about my stomach is grumbling? I don't know why. I'm not hungry, but it's just being weird. The parents should also be... I just don't understand. That's crazy. 10 and 11-year-olds. Oh my gosh. What the freak? Let's see. Girls in Arizona plotting to kill a boy. Okay. Let's see. Really nuts. Really, really nuts. Someone said they're in relationships in 4th grade now. And what does this mean? And shipping each other. What the heck is that? Shipping in quotes. What word is that? What's that for? They're in relationships in 4th grade now. And shipping? What is shipping each other? Someone said I had to do some long-term substitute teaching for 4th graders to wrap up the school year. And it was shocking to see how some of these kids were dealing with topics well above their age. Someone said there were definitely boyfriends and girlfriends when I was in 3rd grade in the 90s. I remember other girls in my class trying to set people up and asking about crushes. Someone said I had crushes around that time, but it definitely was not to the extent I saw with these kids. They were getting into fistfights because the other girl stole my man. It was like Jerry Springer Elementary edition. Someone said, I don't think we should look to these kids as good examples of what the 5th graders are up to these days. And then someone said, with access to P sites on phones, they are already seeing the gory details. I wouldn't be shocked. Many parents don't have a clue or just don't care. This stuff has been around as long as I've been alive, someone said. I remember that kind of petty jealousy among kids in elementary school when I was growing up in the 80s, and it's still there. Cheating is just talking to another girl or boy and triggering jealousy. Someone said, I hate to be that guy, but kids don't come up with this stuff out of nowhere. What the H were they doing at home? Someone said, too many of them have unlimited access to the internet, unfortunately. Their parents don't know or don't care. Someone said, I wasn't planning murder in 5th grade, but I was reading mystery novels. Things like don't leave fingerprints and make it look like that he took his own life are pretty common staples. Someone said, often when I hear about horrendous group behavior, I wonder what would happen if you substituted one or more of the people out with someone I think as a decent person. I'm curious what difference it would have made. What would have happened? My suspicion is that a very large percent of people, perhaps even a substantial majority, aren't willing to instigate terrible behavior, but will go along with it in one way or another. Someone said, I did a research project on this stuff in grade school. It's easier For one single deviant person to drag an entire peer group down to deviant behavior than for a healthy peer leadership to lead them towards better behavior. People who push back for the right reasons tend to just get ostracized from the group. Okay. When I was in 5th grade, one of my friends, we'll call him Robert, embarrassed my other friend in front of a girl. So I called Robert up and talked to him for about an hour and recorded the conversation on my computer. We chopped up sound clips from the conversation. We pasted them together and loaded them onto a digital soundboard. We then called up a popular girl in our class using *67 and chatted to her using the clips on the soundboard, so she thought she was talking to Robert. We had Robert say a bunch of awkward things before asking her out. And they made fart noises while Robert talked with her. She declined the date. That's pretty... This was peak revenge for a 5th grader when I was a kid. I'm still proud of that prank. I can't imagine anyone in my school even considering harming a classmate over something like this. But it was an age when kids started to try to navigate dealing with social conflicts without adults. Someone said, I have no words for this. This is genuinely scary that 4, 10, and 11-year-olds were actually planning something like this. There were people I didn't like in 5th grade, but none I disliked enough to plan something like this. In the 5th grade, all I cared about was playing Barbies, reading, making arts and crafts. I was a late bloomer. One of the many reasons I got picked on, but hopefully nobody wanted to get rid of me that badly. Let's see. This is not surprising. We had 2nd grade girls with a hit list they fully intended to act on. Okay, so that's weird. Very strange.
OBS.
Uh-oh.
And I'm just going to go live through Zoom.
Hopefully. Hi, little lady. I'm still live, right? Yeah.
Girls with a hit list they
Okay,
fully
good.
intended to act on.
Okay, good. So did you hear that, little lady? 4, 10, and 11-year-old girls plotted to kill a 5th grade boy because he cheated on one of them. And they were going to do this. One was going to be a lookout. One was going to procure the weapon and wear gloves so she didn't get any fingerprints on it. The other one was going to write the notes. The other one was going to do the deed there. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. What the heck? That's nuts. And they're talking about expulsion. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want my kids anywhere in a school with those girls. Not at all. Sorry. Let me see here. There was okay, hold on a second, because let me see. I want to see something that's they said they put the it gets more disturbing, guys. This is They had, let's see. Cactus Road, threatening, crazy. Hold on a minute, let me see. 1 second. I'm just trying to look at something here. Okay, this is what I want to say. Okay, here I'm reading from here. A group of 5th grade students were arrested last fall over this alleged plot. The students and their parents were, okay, so 4 students were arrested after a student overheard the discussion of the plans, according to the newly released police report. During a lunch on October 1st of 2024, the students were involved in conversations on how to end him, according to the report. After interviews with the suspects, the plan involved allegedly luring the boy to a bathroom and stabbing him in the stomach. They just said player before. They would wear gloves so as not to leave behind fingerprints, and they would forge a note to show that he took his own life. One of the students interviewed said that she had walked over while the group was discussing the plot and made jokes about it. But the girl insisted that she was joking while the other students started to get serious, and she began to back off as a result. Another student told police that they were part of the conversation because they didn't want the others to think they were weird and not wanting to do it. Wow. The student said she didn't think the others would actually do it and that they didn't want to be part of it. A third student said conversations about allegedly plotting to kill the student made her uncomfortable, but she ultimately thought her fellow students were joking. When she was assigned the role of the guard, she realized they were serious. The parent of the victim, who is identified in the report, told police that she wanted to aid in prosecution of the students who allegedly plotted to kill her son. The parent did not immediately give any other comments to the media. The 4 students, 2 10-year-olds, 2 11-year-olds, were all arrested on one count of threatening and another count of disorderly conduct. The students were released to the custody of their parents, and they were suspended pending expulsion. 3 students and their families showed remorse, and the students apologized. Now say you're sorry for wanting to kill him. Say it. Sorry. Okay, very good. All right, you just be suspended for 3 days and you can come back. A 4th student and her parent did not appear to be fazed, and the student would smile and laugh and make excuses for the actions. In a statement, Legacy Traditional School said the safety and well-being of their students is their top priority, and that the school immediately addressed the incident after learning about it. How did you address it? Suspending them for 3 days and they're back in? Come on. You've got to be kidding me. That's crazy, isn't it? Oh, right. Let me get back to you guys. See what you guys are thinking. Hello, Sassy Darcy. Hello, Sassy Darcy. You know what? We have to do last night's word cookies. We missed it last night because of the problem. Then I'm not finished. Yeah, but I just want to get this one done. If you want, let's see. That's just scary crazy. Yeah, that is scary crazy. That is scary freaking crazy. Oh, they're going to make us do this one first. What did I do here? Going crazy. Oops. Oh my gosh, my thing is not working right. Okay. Hey, hi 61. Hi, Heart Made Wise. Let's see. Yeah, didn't I get sued? I thought I did sued. I thought I had sued in there. Oh, dues. Okay, and then diffused. Oh, diffused. Yeah, diffused. Okay, very good. Now we have to do the last night's because we missed it. See, we missed the 27th, which is no. Wait, we didn't miss one. How did we get? We had to have missed it because we just did the 28th. Really loud. Tout. Tout. Gout. We have that. Okay. Long. Lung. Let's see. How about what the heck? What the heck? Oh yeah, tongue, like tongue and groove, right? Oh, so an extra one. Tongue. No, that's not that one either. Oh my goodness. Outing? There's no I. G O Well, there's one. Glut. You got it at the same time I did. Okay, let's see. T U Okay, let's try T U. Well, oh, unto, yeah. Very good, honey. Ungod. tonal. I don't know. Let me see here. Let me see. Huh. Whatever could this be? Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I'm back. I had to answer something. Let me see. Let me see. Unequivocally. Oh. Glout. Did I try that? Glout. Extra word. Glout. Oh, wait. No, I was going to say log out. Let's see. Okay, begins with a G. Go on. Oh, finally. Thanks, Hart. Now we are on our track for my birthday month. We only have 2 more days to do those. Okay. All right. Let me see here now. All right. What shall we ever do here? We are done with that. That is done. My stomach has to stop grumbling. I'm gonna have to get something to eat. I'm not hungry. What the hell is going on with my stomach? Ethan wanted Chinese food for dinner, and I don't usually eat that, but I got steamed chicken, and my stomach is, and I'm not hungry. My stomach is rumbling. I'm not like gonna be letting this come up. No, that'd be gross. Let me drink some coffee. Calm down, stomach. Calm down. Calm down. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Let's see what's over here. Do 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 do. Oh, I thought someone did just. Oh, sorry, I was just looking. Someone sent me an email. Twitter killer. What is that? Let me go back to this. Cloud glue on. All right, let me. I don't know where I put my thingy here. I gotta bring these to the house tomorrow. Thank you, little lady. Yeah, it's kind of surreal. It's really kind of surreal. Like this, it seems like this went so much faster than, I don't know. It's so surreal this time. It seems that it's so much in the blink of an eye. I don't know. I don't know, because it's so many of the people that we were involved with, like since they were 4 and now, and it's just like every time we see each other, I keep thinking there were 4 and now it's now. It's nuts. It's nuts. I just think the kids are just so they're so much more like huggy and stuff than I remember other kids. Like, I don't know, just so much. They're always hugging each other. Like boys, they're always hugging each other. I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna see you. You know, it's like it's crazy. Okay. What do I gotta do? Oh, I was going to do the, I don't know why I closed up on the, I was going to play a 1 round here, because I think I was close to, did we do cork? We did cork. Corvo, Corvette. Did we do cover? Yeah, we did cover. Okay. Did cooker. I don't know. It's real as watching your grandkid graduation. No, you don't have grandkids graduating, do you? You don't, though, do you? Do you, little lady? Oh no, don't tell me your screen went black. Can you hear my voice? Oh, can you hear my voice there? Hi, Debbie D. Overcook. Oh yeah, that's right. Overcook. Over. Oh my gosh, my thing doesn't work right. Overcook. Very good. And we did over and under and overcook, overcore, core, cove, cooker, cover, cooker, cooker. We did cooker. Oh yes, not high school. Little lady, you've had kids graduate high school? Grandkids? Crook is good, yeah, crook. Crook. You've had grandkids graduating high school? Come on, really? Revoke. No, there's not another E. There's not a P. There's not a P. There's no P in our pool. Please don't put it there. Two granddaughters have graduated high school, little lady? Wow. How can that be? Okay, thanks, it's just me. Coke, 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 have a Coke. Very good, who said Coke? Oh, Echo and Irk. There we go. There we go, all fixed. Pish posh. High sop. Mops. Hops. Siphon. Okay, hold on. Siphon. Oh, I can't believe that was an extra word. Shop. Posy. Okay, soy. Mops by night. Mop sign. There goes my stomach again. This is great. Okay, let's see here. Symphony. 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 It's a symphony. Okay, there we go. Symphony. A symphony. Very good. Who got that symphony? High 61. Wonderful. And it's just me got symphony. Very good. Both of you. Very good. Good, good, good. Pony. They want a pony. Pony up. You better pony up. Okay. Hop, sop, mop. Which one did we do? We did a hop. We did a sop. I did a sop. I don't think it was there, though. Yeah. We did a sun. We did a soy. We did a spy. We did a spoy. We did a hops. Soy, spy, mops, hops. Hops and mops. I get so tired, and it's 2:00, and I've got so much to do tomorrow. I've got graduation parties to go to. I've got graduation parties to have. People coming over. I've got to. I got the cake done. I'll get pictures of it. Don't worry, I fixed it. It's good. It looks really good. We wanted to eat it tonight, but then I said no. We'll eat it tomorrow when we have our party. But I have to go to sleep. I'm exhausted. So I love you guys. God bless. Prayers. Be good. And I'll see you tomorrow. Sometime I'll do a video. Maybe I'll do a video from a graduation party or something. Just say hi. We'll see. Stay tuned. Thanks, you guys. God bless. See you tomorrow.